So after living in Malaysia for more than a year, I wanted to make a video about tips about living in Malaysia as a foreigner. These are things that just stood out to me as an American living in Malaysia. It's a long list, so let's get started. Tip number 1, food is an important part of Malaysian culture. If you attend any kind of event or social activity, there will probably be food involved. Tip number 2, Malaysians are friendly toward foreigners. We have never come across a Malaysian who is not friendly toward us, and they are so willing to assist you if you need directions or help with anything. Number 3, Malaysia is a left-driving country. This takes some getting used to if you're from a right-driving country, even if you aren't driving yourself. Number 4, mattresses tend to be firm. My wife loves this. She prefers a firm mattress. If you find your mattress to be too firm, you can buy a mattress topper to make it softer. Number 5, English is widely spoken by Malaysians. We've had no problems communicating here. Levels of proficiency do vary by area, but almost everyone speaks at least a basic level of English. Number 6, Malaysia is a more developed country than many of its neighbors. In general, Malaysia is very modern and has great infrastructure. It's definitely not a third world country. Number 7, pedestrians do not have the right of way. Be careful when you are crossing the street. You never know when a car could suddenly appear and the drivers might not slow down for you. Number 8, don't wear shoes inside the house. Leave your shoes outside when you are entering a house, a temple, a mosque, and sometimes smaller family-run businesses. Number 9, Malaysia is a multicultural country. In Malaysia, you will find a mixture of ethnicities, including the Malay, people of Chinese descent, people of Indian descent, and many other ethnicities as well. Number 10, food courts are common. These food courts usually have a variety of stalls and types of food, and the seating areas are usually outdoors. Number 11, Malaysia has religious diversity. There are many different religions here in Malaysia. Islam is probably the most common, but there are mosques, churches, and temples throughout the country. Number 12, it is common to wash your hands before eating. There's usually a sink in the eating area when eating out so that it's not necessary to go to the toilet just to wash your hands. Number 13, the Malaysian currency is the ringgit. Bills come in 1, 5, 10, 20, 50, and sometimes 100 notes. Number 14, free soda refills at restaurants are rare. Some restaurants do have free refills, but it's not as common as it is back home. And sorry, America, I just have to say that's part of the reason we are so unhealthy. Just my 2 cents there. Number 15, motorcycles are common. Scooters and motorcycles are a very common way people get around their city. They are cheaper and use less gasoline than cars. Number 16, Malaysians often eat with their fingers. And this is even for eating things like rice, but forks, spoons, and chopsticks are available when eating out too. 17, be prepared for noise. We personally haven't experienced big problems with noisy situations, but this is something foreigners mention. Sometimes it's construction noise, sometimes traffic or other types of loud noise. 18, bargaining is not common. Prices are generally set and negotiating is not typical. I don't feel like I'm getting ripped off because I'm a foreigner. For example, I lost the snorkel mask that I rented. I could have easily been overcharged for the replacement, but I was asked to pay a fair price and appreciate the honesty. 19, tourist attractions sometimes cost more for foreigners. Now, I just said a second ago that I don't feel like I'm getting ripped off as a foreigner, right? But even though the prices are higher, they are set and fair. Number 20, dishwashers, ovens, and clothes dryers are not as common. We did have one apartment with a clothes dryer and an oven, but they aren't common. You can buy a standalone oven if you really want one. 21, public transportation is good. It's much easier to live in Malaysia without owning a car than it is in the United States. Buses and trains run both within cities and also between cities. 22, most showers have an instant hot water box. Instead of having a big hot water tank for an entire apartment, each individual shower usually has an on-demand hot water system. 23, many local banks don't charge ATM fees. You could still get charged by your home bank if you're using a foreign card, but depending on the bank, you might not be charged on the Malaysian side of the transaction. 24. Internet shopping is easy. The two main websites for internet shopping are Lazada and Shopee. Delivery times are fast if the product is coming from within Malaysia, and we like that you can pay for your order with cash at 7-Eleven. 25. Internet service is generally reliable. Occasional internet downtime does happen, but in our experience, internet is usually fast and dependable. 26. Currency exchange rates can fluctuate. Just something to be aware of. For example, during the past year, the rate to the US dollar varied by as much as 10%. 27. Alcohol can be expensive. We don't generally drink alcohol, but if you do, budget accordingly. Langkawi is duty-free on alcohol if that helps. 28. Windows and doors sometimes have security bars. Malaysia is generally very safe, but for extra security you will see these bars. It also allows you to keep the windows and doors open to let in some fresh air. 29. The weather is hot. Be prepared for hot and humid tropical weather all year, but you can escape to the highland areas in the center of the peninsula to get a dose of pleasant temperatures. Number 30. Vegetarian food is available. Malaysian food is not generally vegetarian, but you can find meatless dishes and meatless food products in the grocery stores. 31. Malaysia's crime rate is low. Now the word low is relative. Crime and terrorism can happen anywhere, but we feel much safer here than in the US. I don't have to wonder if I'll get shot at the grocery store. 32. Smaller stores and restaurants may be closed one day per week. This is especially true of family-run businesses, and which day of the week each is closed will vary. 33. Shopping malls are abundant. In the US, shopping malls are in decline and being abandoned, but they are still going strong in Malaysia. 34. Malaysia uses a Type G electrical socket. This is the same as the UK. You can buy adapters here, no problem. 35. Beef consumption is lower. People do eat beef here, but less than in the US. The beef in Malaysia is mostly imported from Australia and priced accordingly. I don't eat beef anymore, so this doesn't impact me personally. 36. Healthcare is inexpensive and high quality. Now, this of course comes from an American perspective. Prices in Malaysia can be as low as 10% of what they are in the US. Seriously. 37. Healthcare prices are generally set. In the US, sometimes you have no idea how much a health appointment costs until it's over and you get the bill. In Malaysia, it's much easier to find out the cost ahead of time. I still cannot get over the prices here. Amazing. 38. Medical appointments are usually widely available. In Malaysia, you can usually book an appointment just a few days ahead of time. At least that's been our experience. 39. Mid and upper range apartments have good security. There will usually be security guards and cameras in apartment complexes that are frequented by expats. Number 40. Natural disasters are rare. Heavy rain and flooding does occur, but destructive storms like hurricanes or typhoons are not a problem, and Malaysia doesn't have a major problem with earthquakes. 41. It can be cold on public transportation. Bring a jacket because the air conditioning can be cranked up high on trains, buses, and ferries, and our experience, especially the ferries. 42. Malay is an easier language to learn. The Malay language uses the Roman alphabet, it's not tonal, and some of the words are similar to English. Here's the word for restaurant, here's the word for police, and the word for bus is on the screen there. 43. The largest expat communities are in Kuala Lumpur and Penang. There are expats all over the country, but Penang seems to be the central area for retired expats, while KL has more of the younger business-type expats. 44. Malaysian food is generally spicier than Western food. I came to Malaysia not particularly liking spicy food, but now I've really grown to like it. And the word spicy can be relative. What is not spicy to a Malaysian can be spicy to a Westerner. 45. International cuisine is widely available. This is especially true in Penang and KL. There's a link to a separate video on international food that you see there. 46. We suggest filtering the tap water. We personally use a portable filter, but sometimes hotels and apartments will have filtered water available. 47. Recycling varies. We've had trouble finding recycle bins in a few places in Malaysia, but most places have recycling bins readily available. 48. The MM2H program is being revised. MM2H is the visa many expats use to live in Malaysia. The program is undergoing a review and not yet available. 49. Sabah and Sarawak have different immigration rules. These are two states on the island of Borneo, and they have some autonomy over their immigration. Sarawak has completed their review of the MM2H program, and you can find its requirements online. 50. Mosquito-borne illnesses do occur, but there are efforts to minimize these diseases through awareness and also through mosquito fumigation. 51. Malaysians dress more conservatively. You won't typically see women with exposed shoulders or wearing shorts. 52. Restaurants are either halal or non-halal. Halal restaurants won't serve pork or alcohol, and there will usually be a sign to indicate whether or not the restaurant is halal. 53. Supermarkets have non-halal items. These non-halal items will be in a separate area or room and will have non-Muslim cashiers. 54. Grab taxis are widely available. Grab is Malaysia's ride-sharing company and they are inexpensive. In Ipoh, for example, it was only 4 ringgit or about $1 for a short ride. 55. Gasoline or petrol prices are reasonable. The cost of a liter of petrol is around 2 ringgit at the time of this video. For Americans, that's roughly the equivalent of $2 per gallon, and for Europeans, roughly a half euro per liter. 56. Malaysia has a lot of holidays. You can see the calendar here, and there are many state and local holidays in addition to federal holidays. 57. Malaysia has severe penalties for drugs, so don't bring or buy them here. 58. International schools are widely available. If you have kids that you want to attend an international school, you will have no trouble finding one in Malaysia. 59. It can be hard to find clothing in larger sizes. It's not impossible, you just have to look a little harder, and there might not be as much variety. 60. Durian is often restricted. Durian is a local fruit with a very strong smell, and you will see signs banning it from elevators, buses, and hotels. 61. Malaysians are generally patriotic. We notice this especially around the Merdeka Day holiday, when Malaysian flags are flying everywhere. 62. Fruit and vegetable markets sometimes have the freshest produce. We've had good experience shopping at these local markets, often finding inexpensive and quality items. 63. Malaysia has many chain restaurants. You can find the American chains too, but Malaysia has its own restaurant chains. Secret Recipe is a mid-range type restaurant with delicious desserts. Mary Brown is fast food chicken. Old Town White Coffee is a coffee shop. And the chicken rice shop has, you guessed it, chicken rice. 64. Credit cards are not as widely used. Many places do accept credit cards, but not everywhere, and ePay is becoming more popular too. 65. Many buildings don't have a 4th or 14th floor. Just like in the US, where we skip the 13th floor for superstitious reasons. 66. Nasi lemak is one of the most common Malaysian foods. This is a rice dish with anchovy sauce, cucumber, and eggs. It's so common that even McDonald's serves it. 67. Wild monkeys live in Malaysia. We even rented one apartment where we could see 2 types of monkeys from the window, and sometimes they would come out of the forest and into the neighborhood. 68. Most toilets have a bidet hose. Okay, I thought this was weird at first, but I like it now. It's sanitary and efficient, and you can still buy toilet paper if you prefer that. 69. Malaysia ranks high on the Global Peace Index list. It's ranked at number 20, and since I'm American, I'll compare it to the US, which is all the way down at number 121. Number 70. Mr. DIY stores are everywhere. This is a store that sells all kinds of things, kitchen items, home repair, office supplies, toys, flip-flops, you name it. 71. Drivers will sometimes run a red light. Be especially careful if you're crossing the street. A scooter could be going through the intersection even if the light is red. 72. It's not common to see hugging or kissing in public. You will definitely draw attention to yourself if you're showing public displays of affection around other people. 73. The tip is sometimes included in restaurant menu prices. If you're not sure, you can always ask, but a standard tip of 10% is quite often already built into the price. 74. Cell phone plans are inexpensive. We use Digi, and there are a wide variety of plans to choose from, and prices are very reasonable. 75. Facebook is a great way to meet other expats. There are many Facebook groups that arrange meetups if you want to meet other expats in your area of Malaysia. 76. Stovetops can be gas or electric. The gas for stoves is usually in a tank that will be delivered to your house or apartment. For us, a tank lasted about 6 weeks and cost 30 ringgit. 77. You can drive between any two cities on peninsular Malaysia in less than 1 day. Even if you're driving from the northernmost city down to the Singapore border, it can be done in a day. 78. Sidewalks are sometimes uneven. If you are in a wheelchair or have any mobility issues, getting around could be a challenge. 79. Peninsular Malaysia has a great train network. There are 2 lines, and our experience with the trains has always been punctual and comfortable. 80. Search iProperty.com for apartments. We think this is a great website when searching for a long-term lease on an apartment. 81. Don't point with your index finger. I forget this, and it's not a big problem, nobody's going to get mad, but it is more polite to point with your thumb. 82. Gluten-free products are available in grocery stores. I'll tell you though, my wife cannot eat gluten in the US, but she has no problems here in Malaysia. I think the wheat might be processed differently here. 83. Wild orangutans are found only in Malaysia and Indonesia. Unfortunately, their habitat is disappearing, but there are also conservation efforts to help save them from extinction. 84. Photocopy centers are easy to find. If you don't have a printer and need a paper copy of a document, head for a photocopy shop. 85. It's common to see trash and litter. Even though we do see trash quite often, we also see people cleaning it up too. 86. Malaysia has less air pollution compared to other countries. The skies are not totally free from pollution, but compared to Thailand or India or China, Malaysia is generally looking pretty good. 87. Our personal cost of living in Malaysia is half of what it was in the US. This is due to the strength of the US dollar, and you can watch the video in the link that you see there for more about our cost of living. 88. Electronics can be expensive in Malaysia, but not always a lot more expensive compared to the US, and unless you're buying a massive amount of electronics, it's probably not significant, just something to be aware of. Number 89. On buses, know the name of the stop where you will get off. The fare is determined by where you board and where you disembark, so be prepared to tell the driver your destination. 90. Geckos could come into your house or apartment. If you leave the windows open or have cracks under the doors, be prepared for some friendly company. 91. Laundromats are easy to find. They are inexpensive, usually have good modern machines, and easy to locate all around Malaysia. 92. Malaysia is a good base for exploring Asia. Flights to other parts of Asia are plentiful and cheap. I even saw one flight from KL to the Philippines for $50. 93. Cigarette smoking is fairly common. Probably a bit more common than it is in the US, but it's not in your face overwhelming with cigarette smoke. 94. Malaysian news in English is available online. The most common publications are The Star, the Malay Mail, and the New Straits Times. 95. Go to Jaya for imported food products. This grocery store seems to have the biggest selection of food items imported from other countries, but cold storage and Tesco are good too. 96. Be ready to pay for restrooms. The toilets are free in shopping malls and restaurants, but you might be charged a very small amount at bus and train stations. Number 97. Toilets are a mix of sit and squat. You'll see both of these types, and we personally never had a situation where only one type was available. 98. Bathrooms in apartments can be either wet or dry. We've had both types, and by wet I mean that the shower is not in a separate stall, so the water just sprays onto the bathroom floor. Number 99. Hotel rooms and some apartments have an arrow painted on the ceiling. This arrow points in the direction of Mecca, so that Muslim guests know in which direction to pray. And finally, number 100. Apartment rentals often include furniture. Unlike the US, where you usually need to have your own furniture, in Malaysia, it's common for furniture to be included when renting an apartment. Alright, I know this was a long video. Thanks for watching not just this video, but all of our videos about our life in Malaysia. It has been really fun for me to create all of these videos, and I appreciate all of the views and support.